This talk is about 100 Principles of Game Design by Wendy Despain. It is a collection of rules and principles, including some of which we have discussed in class, like MDA, Coster's theory of fun, Bottle's player types, and many other rules that may or may not be used during the process of designing games. The book is organized by 4 themes. The themes are innovation, creation, game balancing, and troubleshooting. Rules like MDA or Coster's theory of fun fall under innovation in this book. Brainstorming techniques and prototyping fall under creation. Interest curves and learning curves fall under balancing theme, and troubleshooting includes principles like golden ratio and problem solving. One of the principles for innovation is Nash equilibrium, which can be used to predict the outcome of interactions between players based on their optimal strategies. When all players have a single best choice and will not do better by changing their strategy, this is a Nash equilibrium. For example, it results in a draw in tic-tac-toe, or when both players keep silent in prisoner's dilemma. These type of games concern zero-sum strategies, which is another principle with innovation theme. A zero-sum game is one in which winnings are perfectly balanced against losses. Poker is a zero-sum game, as every player's winnings are exactly matched by another player's losses. The prisoner's dilemma, on the other hand, is not a zero-sum game, since both players may win together or lose together. Information and transparency are other principles that derive from Nash equilibrium, since each player must know all of the possible outcomes for all players to know which decision is best for them and which is best for other players. The amount and nature of information in a game can dramatically change the player's decisions. Many games, such as our RTS paper prototype, revolve around transparency or discovery of hidden information. They take the human love of learning to the next level of intensity by tapping into the human love of discovering someone else's secret. Exploring and experimenting are part of the core gameplay loop in the games. The core gameplay loop is the central building block of a game's design. When people enjoy something, they want to repeat it. In fact, developers pride themselves on making addictive games. For example, jumping is the core gameplay loop of Super Mario Bros. It interpolates movement or incorporates actions like crushing enemies, breaking blocks, and more. So, game designers must clearly and carefully define core gameplay loop, and they must refine the central recurring mechanics that provide the foundations of the play experience. The loop of the core gameplay loop has a close connection to the feedback loops. It comprises an action on the player's part, the result of that action, the player's reaction to the results, and the game requiring the player to repeat the original action. We have positive feedback loop, like in chess, where capturing a player's pieces makes them more vulnerable, leading to more captures, or a negative feedback loop, where achieving a goal makes it harder to continue achieving goals. For example, in a ball pool, one player sinking your balls leads them to fewer options and greater chances of your balls blocking your shots. Testing and prototyping are valuable tools during every phase of the design process. Prototyping is the process of building a representative model of an idea for the purpose of testing and iteration. Iteration is the process of repeating an action using the previous repetition's output as the next iteration's input. We use these techniques for our RTS game. Risk assessment is another foundational game design principle that challenges players' choice against uncertainty. Risk assessment is what Jesse Schell talks in terms of triangularity. The idea is that the player is offered 2 ways to progress to the next level in game. One is low risk but low rewarding. The other is higher risk but also higher reward. Video game balance is the hard-to-define quality of correctness that results when designers skillfully combine all the game design elements and systems that make up the play experience. Tuning is the process of adjusting variables gradually up or down to achieve specifically desired outcomes, as we did for our RTS game actions. Another balancing principle is focusing on delivering the right details. Details include presentational details, communicative details in games, and communicative details in design documentation, and can contribute to other principles including players' spatial awareness and attention. We focused on presentational details in our digital prototype. Balancing players' errors is another important principle. Players can make 2 types of errors in games: motor control errors and performance errors. Designers can moderate motor control errors, while they should create an interesting failure state showing to the player that they've performed the action incorrectly. This is something we can benefit from in our digital game. Humans have limited attention span. After 7 to 10 minutes, regardless of how hard they try to pay attention, their minds wander to something else. It means that as the experience is being crafted, designers should think about how long any particular task takes and craft the experience into smaller chunks of 7 to 10 minutes. Sometimes in games, game makers punish players inadvertently by making the game too hard. The Buster principle is simple. Be kind to your players. The basic concept of this principle is to allow a game to automatically and behind the scenes tune the difficulty level of the particular skill to the ability of the player while giving them a sense of accomplishment. Another troubleshooting principle is the golden ratio, which is a term from mathematics and the arts wherein the ratio of the sums of the quantities to the larger quantity is equal to the ratio of the larger quantity to the smaller one. Just as artists use the golden ratio to proportion their works, designers should keep this principle in mind when building items that rely on proportion. Three laws of usability by Steve Krug are widely known, but his first law is the most profound. He states it simply: don't make me think. Many people will avoid reading or even looking for directions. A good interface must be intuitive, self-evident, and obvious. Two keys to achieving this are simplicity and consistency. Game designers need to clearly understand how humans go about solving problems. It is essential to anticipate players' problem-solving behaviors when managing difficulty levels and player engagement. Designers must walk the right rope of nudging their players into successful problem-solving strategies without being too obvious. Problem solving is the number one task on the designer's daily to-do list, and the book offers a list of methods for that. It includes but not limited to making a list, making a table, drawing a picture, brainstorming, taking a step back, or solving the opposite problem. Prototyping and paper prototyping are other methods for problem solving.